Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome on back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that the morning after the night before Chelsea lose 2-3 at home in the semi-final against Arsenal in the League Cup. I did an instant match reaction to that video. To that game, rather. Feel free to check it out. It's a very annoying situation. It could have been worse. So many absentees in the Chelsea first team versus what is a very strong Arsenal side that seemingly only rotated their goalkeeper. At present, they are a better team than us. They're top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League. And we're still in the tie despite all these illnesses and injuries. Could be worse. Frustrating. You could isolate the goalkeeper for soft goals, especially the first two. You know, and then you criticise. It's very glass half full, which can jar some people and, frustrate people. So I don't want to be too positive about it. Losing to Arsenal at home is never going to be nice. Even if you put out an under-21 side against their first team, it's still going to not be pleasant. So, don't expect anything otherwise. Right, guys, interrupting the video in this introduction to let you know I've annexed an additional piece of content at the end of this video. Basically, some extra stuff came out about Bonanotte leaving this window and Chelsea signing a new defender this window. So I'll go into all the other stuff in the video. You'll see he's talking about Estevão, positives and negatives from the Arsenal game. And then at the end, the segment I'm about to film will be annexed on talking about Facundo Buonotte and Chelsea signing a new defender. Right. But, it's a weird world where, of course, Rob Sánchez this season has been broadly very good for Chelsea, bar a couple of games, yesterday being one of them. And broadly, Jorgensen's been terrible, except for recently when he had a couple of good performances, one being Man City away at the Etihad. It's a weird world where you look at that lineup and the outfield players being so weakened for Chelsea, and you think, if we swap Jorgensen in, we may draw or even win that game in that isolated instance. Of course, hindsight's 2020, life doesn't work like that. But I'm going to speak about an article today on The Athletic, positives and negatives from Liam Rosinia's first home game as Chelsea manager from The Athletic. We'll speak about that in a moment, get into it. Of course, it is the transfer window. I'll be doing daily updates on here about transfers and news and stuff like that. So do keep it locked. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for supporting the content. If you want to, super simple. You simply like and subscribe. Comment and share, and of course this is now available on podcast platforms, most notably Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The videos on Spotify if you want that as well, so you just search Football Therapy Podcast and you have the opportunity to continue supporting me there by following and 5-starring and all that stuff. Let's get into it. Righty-ho then, give me one moment. Right, so I don't need to screen share, but I just want to show you, I've got the little Jan's Office overlay on again, which is nice. Nice little touch there. Yeah. A little life update as well. I have had an offer accepted on a house, so I'm trying to move. If it goes through, then in a few months, I'll be in a new location to film from, a new office, a new setup, design, so do keep it locked for that. But in the meantime, let's see what Simon Johnson is saying on The Athletic. Losing your first game at home as Chelsea head coach to a fierce rival is never a good way to start. And like I said, no matter how much I can try and paint it up, and we all do, and it's not all bad, that is ultimately what it is. The manner of Chelsea's 3-2 defeat by Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final on Wednesday will have given Liam Rosinia encouragement and regret in equal measure. And, I mean, yeah, he's literally been here for a few days, and Arteta's been there 7 years. After a comfortable start to his tenure in a 5-1 win, of course, against Charlton in the FA Cup, this performance proved Enzo Maresca's 41-year-old replacement with much more of an insight, will have much more of an insight of the task at hand. Truth. Here, The Athletic highlights some of the positives and negatives from the game, which he will learn from. Well, being presumptuous there that he will learn, but we hope he does. So we'll start with the positives. Let's go. Spirit in adversity. Arguably the biggest tick of the lot, Chelsea could have easily wilted after going 2-0 down and then 3-0 down. Also, credit to Sánchez for making that save to prevent it going from 4-1, because then we could have probably just lost 5-1 and ended up losing 3-2, but only losing 3-2. They have at least given themselves a glimmer of hope in the return leg on February the 3rd. Ooh, what, miles away. With no away goals rule in place, the atmosphere at the Emirates Stadium that Tuesday will soon change to a nervous one should Rosinia's side score the first goal. Or if they concede it, get an on-the-night equaliser to reduce an aggregate deficit to 1 again. Yeah. Rosinia was without 6 players, of course. Moises Caicedo was suspended. Cole Palmer has a thigh injury. Reece James got a knock on the hip. Malo Gusto also got a knock. James and Gusto should be available for the weekend. Brentford, possibly Palmer. Liam Delap and Jamie Gittins are both ill. Apparently they've got a really high temperature. And of course, they're still missing long-term absentees, Levi Colwill and Romeo Lavia. When you say it like that, that's a lot. It obviously meant Rosinia was not the only one without his best 11, but his options from the bench were limited too. Was not only without his best 11. I think, Arsenal pretty much had their best 11, bar Kepa, but maybe Calafiori, but he still had Jurrien Timber there, so Arsenal were infinitely stronger than us. But his options from the bench were limited too. There was a lot of things Chelsea still could have done better, but it could have been worse under the circumstances. Yeah, I mean, we were going into that game, my sharing on my Instagram, well, we're screwed, sort of thing. Yeah. Rosinia highlighted the group's character saying the following, quote, "I saw an energy, a determination and intensity. I want us to be known as a team that never gives up." Yeah, I mean, that's nice. Estevão. It seems as though Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta paid Estevão quite the compliment by picking Jurrien Timber at left back to keep him quiet. Well, we didn't even know. How would we have known Estevão starting? It could have easily been Palmer or Neto, or even Gittins, who played right wing in the midweek. But yeah, he clearly saw danger on that side. In the absence of Ricardo Calafiori, rather than Miles Lewis-Skelly, Timber, normally deployed as a right back, had been playing at a high level all season. He could not keep the Brazilians subdued, though. Yeah, we had some exciting moments, didn't we, from Estevão on the night. The 18-year-old was Chelsea's most exciting attacking threat throughout, registering the most dribbles, 5, and the most shots, 4, from either team. So he was the best attacker on the pitch. By the way, I'm fuming Victor Gyökeres won man of the match. He got a goal and an assist, and I'm angry with both of those. The goal, he was just standing at the back post and so went, oh, here it is, knock. And he demonstrated a lot of ineptitude in that game. And the fact how he gets an assist for that second goal, whatever the third goal, whichever one it was, is silly sausage business, because it's all Zubimendi that just sits everyone. Well, I don't want to say he sits everyone down. Everyone sits down for him. All goals were soft by Chelsea. I'm still very annoyed with how soft the goals were. So Estevão was the best attacker on the pitch. With Palmer unable to get a consistent run of games together due to injury, Chelsea's attack needs an X factor. Estevão showed once again that he's ready to provide it. I think this is worth talking about. I think Estevão will... Liam Rosinia is known for playing the kids, basically. Strasbourg were the youngest team in Europe, the whole of the top 5 leagues. They were the youngest team, and they performed to a really high level. So he will have no issue taking a world-class talent in Estevão Willian and being like, I've seen you operate in the Premier League, you can do it, go and do it. I think we'll see Estevão play a lot of games for Chelsea, which is exciting, I think. Garnacho's impact from the bench, while we're still on the positives, Simon writes the following: Alejandro Garnacho's finishing is like Chelsea's form this season, inconsistent. Yeah. Garnacho went into the Arsenal match having scored 4 goals in 21 appearances for the club. He'd had enough chances in those games to get close to, if not into, double figures. True. Supporters remain divided over whether his acquisition from Man United for 40 million quid, which is sort of okay, isn't it, last summer was a wise bit of business. The manner in which the Argentina international winger he didn't do much shaking, took his 2 goals as a second half substitute on Wednesday will improve his standing with them and boost his confidence too. Yeah, they were good finishes. They were confident, weren't they? Where did that come from? Maybe Liam Rosinia is going to be a Garnacho whisperer and he will just be the undisputed starting left winger for Chelsea and score loads of goals. I mean, I'm backing it. I've seen him do insane stuff, Garnacho. Just the fact that he's got the cojones to score that goal at Everton. Was it Everton? The overhead kick, like the push cash superstar bad boy goal. Like, that's like one of the better goals you will see ever. You know, and he's 21 and plays for Chelsea. Like, it's there. Do you know what I mean? It's there. The technique for the second was particularly sound because the ball bounced high towards him, yet he still shot first time, getting his foot over the ball to keep the effort down, which, yeah, is tricky, by the way. You will see many players in the same situation send their attempt fizzing high into the crowd instead, or just getting their foot over it and scuffing it and spinning the ball. So, you know, definitely a positive Garnacho. Right, let's prepare the negatives. Take a deep breath. Alright, cool. So the negatives. Poor Arsenal record continues. Yuck, this is going to hurt. Chelsea have now gone 9 games without a win against Arsenal. It is an indication of the changing of the guard which takes place in London football. For the most of the Roman Abramovich era, Chelsea were on top, but Arsenal now have not lost at Stamford Bridge since August 2018. Or at home in this fixture for 5 years. I said it before, even in that Mourinho season when he finished mid-table, we still did the double over Arsenal. I know they're a different team then as they are now, but it is the changing of the guards, that they're like the sort of elite team that bullies people. That's what we were before. Now, let's not get overexcited. Arsenal haven't won a Premier League in over 2 decades. They've never won a Champions League. That might feel like they're on the precipice, but they haven't even won cups. They've just been the bridesmaid. So it's all very well that they've had these wins and the fans will like those moments. But Chelsea are all about trophies. And we won 2 last season and they won none. So let's keep it factual and objective. This drought is something Rosinia simply has to put a stop to. Not only for the second leg in the semi-final in 3 weeks. That's a bit of pressure there. We're a goal down going away from home. And he's literally just started the job. And it's a very young and undeveloped team, which, by the way, I completely understand and align myself with the Chelsea anger about the squad building. You know, yeah, young potential. Blah, blah. It's great for some elements, but we all want our team to win now. That's the nature of being a football fan. Look, I do love how we've got a lot of young players, and they will get better. And we future-proofed ourselves. You know, Arsenal kind of do need to win now, really. You know, they're not the oldest team, but they're not young. And they've been together for, a long time. You've got players going into their late 20s. And, you know, it's stop mucking about sort of stuff, really. So, yeah, look, we do need to win now. And Arsenal aren't winning now. Hopefully they don't. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on. So we also face Arsenal in the Emirates in the Premier League on Sunday, March the 1st. So we've got to go to the Emirates twice this season still. We've played them twice at home in the league and in the first leg of the cup. And we've got to go to the Emirates twice. If we dunk on them there twice, we would have got the better of them. Imagine if they only take a point of us in the Premier League and we eliminate them. I mean, it's a dream, but it's not, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. As much as Chelsea tried during the 90 minutes here, you always felt Arsenal would prove too strong and find a way to win the game, which is what people said about Chelsea in those years where they were getting the better of Arsenal on a regular basis. Facts. But at the same time, I think we should stop comparing that Chelsea of old to this Arsenal, because although general league form and often performances, you could do similarities. Firstly, they won't beat Chelsea's defensive record. No one will. Secondly, Chelsea won Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues on the regs. Premier Leagues on the regs. We won a Champions League back then, and we've won one recently, and we slapped them up in the Europa League final. Context is key. Chelsea were lifting, big pieces of silverware throughout that time. So the comparisons stop when you bring trophies into the conversation. Right, negative, strength of the squad. Now, this is where people rightly are angry, in my opinion. All teams would miss the number of quality players that Chelsea were missing last night. Very, very true. However, it's still highlighted after that vast sums the clubs have spent on personnel over the past 3.5 years. There remain gaps in which need to be filled. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah. So one of the Chelsea used regularly get better the Arsenal was, one of the reasons we got the better of Arsenal before, of course, was Drogba and Costa. Tick, tick. Now, Rosinia had to use Mark Gu, who cost 5 million, maybe even less, £5 million from Barcelona's academy, and he's only just turned 20. We've had him for a couple of years, nearly, just over 18 months. 18 months. And we got him when he was 18. He's just turned 20 last week. Equals £5 million. Victor Gyökeres, who I think is hot trash. It might come good, but at the moment he looks terrible. He cost what? How much did he cost him? 70 odd million? Do you know what I mean? It's a high profile game. Q was only in the 11 because Dilap was ruled out with illness just hours earlier. Again, what could have been in this game last night, guys? The latter has scored just twice since joining from Ipswich Town last summer, though he's seen quite a lot of improvement. So has quite a lot of improvement to do himself. True. But he's looked actually quite good recently. If we're going to be totally fair on Liam Dilap, he has looked pretty good recently, like in terms of his hold-up play and actually how he can figure in the side. It's totally pointless to criticise a young player in Q who's never had an extended run. He has actually, in his last 9 starts before this game, he had 8 goals or something like that, and I know it was inflated with a hat-trick at easy opposition or whatever, but he's doing all right. He's working hard for the team. He's a good young player that, for my money, needs to go and get a good loan and be the starting striker at a club and just really grow into himself. And by the time he's 22, he could be a hot property. Either Chelsea use him or we sell him for a lot of money and make a huge profit. I know it's unsavoury speaking business like that, but excuse me, that's the situation. So, with Chelsea needing goals, 3 of the 5 substitutes Rosinia made on the night saw defenders coming on. Woo! Attackers, Facundo Buonotte on loan from Brighton. I have absolutely no issues with Buonotte not coming on against Arsenal, by the way. And I think very few will have issues with that, personally. My opinion, but there we go. Tyreek George, we're both on news. Now, I think Tyreek George, he's all right. He's a good player. He will get sold this month, I think. And, of course, we'll cover that here on the channel as news develops. In contrast, Arteta, the counterpart, was able to turn to Gabriel Martinelli, of course, fresh off a hat-trick. Mikel Merino, who I think Arteta deserves a lot of credit for turning this guy into just this striker that seems to always score against Chelsea as well. Kai Havertz, say what you will about Kai Havertz, it cost them 70 million quid, do you know what I mean, from us. So this is the kind of player he is. Champions League winner, of course, as we know. Gabriel Jesus, he cost 50 million plus from Man City. And of course, summer signings, Eberechi Eze, what did he cost? 60 million? Eze's great. Noni Madueke, 52 million from us. And Norgard, who, quality player, Brentford's captain, were not required, nor was Lewis Skelly, full England international. His injury list is currently shorter than Rosinia's, but Arteta has a steady stream of issues to overcome since the campaign started, and leads Arsenal's 18-point cap over Chelsea in the Premier League. With 21 games out of 38 done. And we have to finish on Robert Sánchez. Right. Okay, let's do this then. Rosinia revealed in his post-match press conference that he wants the Chelsea goalkeepers to work differently from how he operated under Maresca. He says, I'm asking Rob to do things he hasn't done before. When, I believe, Nizar Kinsella of the BBC pushed him on this, Rosinia said, there are certain triggers and certain patterns, he said, without giving too much away about what I'm saying tactically. That's Rob's first game with me. I've had 2 days to work with him. Given that Sánchez has been one of Chelsea's best players this season, there's a strong argument that if it's not broken, don't fix it. Last night, Chelsea's number 1 looked more like the keeper who's a bag of nerves for the first 18 months of his Stamford Bridge career following his move from Brighton in the summer of 2023. The Spain international gifted Arsenal their first 2 goals, and he did. That second one especially, the greasy buttered up hands sickener. Their first 2 goals, missing Declan Rice's cross from a corner, which, by the way, he had been really good at commanding his area, and he just decided to have a night off being a goalkeeper, apart from 1 save. Of course, the and then fumbling Ben White's tame centre after half time. Yes. I keep saying all season that I am not going to decide my definitive position on Robert Sánchez till the end of the season. I said I've been hurt too much before. Despite a good run of form in the Club World Cup, he had that moment of madness at Old Trafford. He generally found form again, and I thought, could he be Chelsea goalkeeper? I've never definitively said, you know what, I'm convinced he is good enough to be Chelsea's number 1. I've been like, oh, it's nice that he's playing well. Let's see if it continues. that moment in that performance, those decisions in that game, you know, let's be completely clear, is very, very damaging, because Chelsea fans don't want to lose to Arsenal at home ever in any circumstance. Do you know what I mean? So when you're culpable like that, it's hugely damaging. So I'm gonna keep my powder dry. I'll know at the end, in terms of my opinion. This sounds so gross because it's gonna sound like the Chelsea hierarchy. End of season review. I'll do an end of season review on Robert Sánchez, and know then, unless he comes out and says this has been the worst 48 hours of my career at Chelsea, then maybe we'll just drop him and sign Penders from Strasbourg for continuity. We don't need to sign him. We already own him. But there you go. It's just Penders pending. There you go. Lovely one. Easy one. Tap in. Open goal. But I'll take it wherever I can get. Yeah. So I'm keeping my powder dry on Sánchez. I will say that was a pretty dramatically poor performance that's damaged his credibility, but also it's his first game under a new manager who he reckons he's asking him to do other stuff. I reckon he's just protecting him a little bit in the media, Liam Rosneior, but I also think Rob Sánchez might be bad. Oh man, excuse me. He could be bad. He could just be bad. Like David Carledge on the Football Ramble podcast was reacting with Marcus Speller to this game. And they were saying he would not be surprised if Chelsea bought a centre-back and a goalkeeper in the January transfer window. Now, he's just saying that because it's just like, you know, that's what Chelsea would do. We won't do that. We've got Jorgensen and Sánchez, and you've got Rosinia towing the party line saying 2 world-class goalkeepers. We've got Penders pending. I won't do that again. And, you know, Levi Colwell's returning, yada, yada, yada. I mean, maybe, because they're going to try and sell Disassi, and I do wonder if another centre-back might go, by the way. Maybe they see an opportunity to buy a centre-back and push the button if a market opportunity arises, but that's rare. Cool, so I'm back to add the additional content to this video, and that is a couple of things. First of all, Fabrizio Romano has given an exclusive, the aforementioned in this video, Facundo Buonotte. Leeds have reached a verbal agreement to sign him. Chelsea to interrupt the loan move from Brighton, leaving Chelsea to return to Brighton, and then joining Leeds. Move to Leeds United Football Club will be on loan to the end of the season. Here we go soon. Wow, I must say, thank you for trying. It has never clicked. Never clicked for Facundo Buonotte at Chelsea. He's looked alright at moments. He's clearly a very technically gifted young player. He very much is a diminutive small playmaker between the lines, number 10. Doesn't surprise me at all how both he and Tariq George wasn't considered for the Arsenal game, and it turns out, of course, Ty is expected to be sold permanently, and the loan for Bonanotte cancelled and then sent back to Brighton so he can go to Leeds, which would be a good move for them. It looks like they probably won't get relegated, and he'll get a lot of game time over there. Yeah, I mean, what did we expect? He was supposed to be a sort of deputy to Cole Palmer, and I guess he expected to play a lot more. Maybe he thought he'd be playing under Enzo Maresca. That shouldn't really matter. Liam Rosinia plays very, very similar football to Maresca, also uses young players. Maybe now that number 10 spot, you've got Palmer, you've got Estevão, we play Enzo Fernandez in the advanced role. It makes no sense playing Facundo Buonotte. We hardly knew ye. Right, let's move on. Okay, so sticking on the transfer train, Matt Law has dropped a bomba! Here we go. Chelsea to accelerate defender move and boost Liam Rosinia's squad. Ooh la la! It's a juicy and spicy meatball. Right. Let's read it. Chelsea are ready to make a move. By the way, Maresca fuming. He said it. Look, no matter what your position is on Maresca, you're pleased with him, you're sad with him, you're happy he left, you're angry he left. He was right. We needed a defender. He asked for one. He didn't get one. And now they're giving Rosinia one. He'll be fuming. Chelsea are ready to make a move for new defender in the remaining weeks of the January transfer window to give Liam Rosinia a boost to his start at the club as new head coach. Former head coach Maresca made no secret, here we go, of his desire to land a defender in the summer transfer window when Chelsea missed out to Real Madrid on Dean Howson, who lost to 17th place second division side in the cup yesterday. Very funny. Go watch Football Yannick, my other channel, to my reaction to that Real Madrid crisis. Let's keep moving. The move for Howson was made right before Colwill suffered the injury that has prevented him playing so far this season, and were unable to land a suitable alternative. I also think, I'm not even sure he will feature this season, Levi Colwill. Potential targets have been lined up for the end of the season, but Chelsea are now looking to accelerate a deal to help Rosinia cope with the club's busy fixture list and implement his style of play. So he will be brought in on the transfer discussions. Who do you want? Who would you like? He does say he will make the decisions at the football club. Many of the Chelsea fans laughed, going, we all know who makes the decisions here, but maybe he will be consulted. Very, very interesting. Yes, Chelsea had planned to try and sell at least one defender to accommodate a new face in the summer, but the club are prepared to carry an extra body for the remaining 4 months of the season if they can strike a deal for the right man. Who's the right man though, guys? Colwill's injury, together with Wesley Fofana's fitness issues, have forced Chelsea to rotate between Tosin Edarabioyo and Benoit Badiashile, with Trevoh Chalobah starting regularly as well. Rosinia made 3 changes to his back 4 in the 3-2 defeat to Arsenal on Wednesday night, and afterwards highlighted his team had struggled to build from the back at times. Yep, Chelsea fans at Stamford Bridge all collectively bricked themselves when they saw Chelsea passing it around the back. That's me, not Matt Law speaking, for those of you listening. A central defender who can play out from the back would be a big addition for Rosinia. Chelsea have been linked with Rennes centre-back Jérémy Jacquet and Jacobo Ramon, who will have only joined Como from Real Madrid last summer. Chelsea are also targeting at least one new midfielder and a versatile attacker in 2026 and are open to January opportunities in these positions. But defence is currently rated as the most likely to be strengthened this month. Wow, something's happening. The dead horse has a pulse, ladies and gentlemen. Other than holding talks with Chelsea's owners and sporting directors over the squad, Rosinia has held a series of one-to-one talks with his new players. Sources claim some of Chelsea's key men had become frustrated under Maresca. Here comes the briefing, ladies and gentlemen. And Rosinia has wasted no time in trying to get his entire squad on board with what he wants since succeeding the Italian. Apart from conveying messages in team meetings and speaking to the entire group, Rosinia has held discussions with individuals to find out how they feel about their roles, form, and fitness. Company man. I love Liam Rosinia. I'm really, really backing him. But I've heard, Luke Moore on the Football Ramble, he talked about there's no other guy who sounds more like he's being interviewed by Jake Humphries than Liam Rosinia. And he does proper give off Diary of a CEO vibes, doesn't he, as well? Hashtag world class basics. Bit of banter. Luke Moore of the Ramble also tainted me. He called Frank Lampard Tim Sherwood with A-levels, and it absolutely took me out. So, he's a bit, interviewed by Jake Humphries vibes. Anyway, I digress. Let's finish this. With so many to contend with, Rosinia is not expected to make any big tactical changes with so many games, but instead look at some marginal gains through subtle tweaks. Tweaks. He's not tweeting on social media. He's making tweaks to his team. One well-placed source said the following, quote, "The mood has been really good since Liam came in. Not everyone had been entirely happy, but there's been a notable shift and Liam's communication skills have been really evident." He is a good communicator, gang. He is. Well, there you have it. This has been annexed onto the original recording, and now I'll pass you on to the outro. Do you know what I mean? It's rare a market opportunity arises. But I will, of course, cover all the transfer stories here on Football Therapy, so do keep it locked. Thank you for liking this video on YouTube and subscribing. Thank you for going over to Spotify and following the Football Therapy podcast and 5-starring it. I'm really grateful for that. No matter what happens, I'll be here for you guys. We'll get through, and see you soon. Take care.